It's okay to play at the easiest difficulty if you're learning a game, but normal is the difficulty that the game is intended to be played at, so if you beat it on normal, then you beat the game. This is a fact. So harder difficulties only serve the purpose of there being an extra challenge, but that's just it. It's extra, it's not necessary unless you've already mastered beating the game at its intended setting.
No harder difficulty is realistic. Just think of racing games.
If the game's intention is to be as realistic as possible and harder difficulties achieve that, then yes, but if it just makes the game more difficult for the sake of being more difficult, then normal is the way to go.
I agree, it's just that more common than not the harder difficulty is the realistic one.
Most of the time, normal difficulty is what the game's intended to be played at, but some games do hard difficulties well, where it's not just giving statistical handicaps that make things harder. Pizzo's a good example. Nightmare mainly just takes away things you don't technically need, like the Ghost Jungle Third Evidence, the breaker location, sanity board, etc., which makes the game more difficult because you have to understand the game really well and know what each ghost does to one consistently. It's not intended to be played at this difficulty unless you've mastered the game. A lot of the time, harder difficulties become less realistic to make it harder.
Well, let's be realistic that you're wrong and that is hard for you. No, most games have the hardest is the most accurate playthrough method. Sorry, pal, games with difficulty just for bonus are far and few in between. Phasmo is the only game I can honestly think of like that. That's a no-brainer. Pizza, just an empty box.
Plays Majora's Mask on lighter screen with save states as it was intended to be played.
I definitely need to replay that game, and I will, but I'm glad you've accepted your loss. It looks good and adapted widescreen, though plays Smash Fighter and Kirby Air Ride with keyboard.
One is actually a PC game. For the other, I don't have an adapter. Regardless, there's like 5 buttons. Left, right, up, down, and out.
Every game is made on a computer, so that logic doesn't work. Doesn't matter. It doesn't tell you to press keyboard buttons.
Doesn't matter where the game is made. That doesn't determine how it's played. By that logic, you should be the janitor that cleans the bathrooms at Arby's, since that's where you were made.
And didn't realize Dallin and Dennis Prager were related.
We're talking about games here. You're getting off track. But also, we're mom. To clarify, I'm the mess with the janitor is trying to clean up. I'm in the tile.
So you're saying you're the homunculus that grew out of the fluids on the stall floor.
I was never born. I spawned from fluids and mildews.
Impressive. Makes sense, I guess. All things considered.
You stinker.
Astro says. Good D2.